A lot of times they'll tell startups, just forget it. Like, kill your idea. It doesn't work. And they will not listen. They just keep going.
One of the big problems that you see with a lot of startups is that they assume that the market is actually there when it's not. The customer might tell them, yes, I like this, but it's easy for them to say yes. It's harder for them to open up their wallets and pay.
We started VR Lab in 2014. There was a lot of money being thrown at whatever VR idea that was coming up. We really wanted to test our assumptions first, and as we were doing that, the market shifted, and we found that by the time we were ready to come to the investment markets, they were being much more reserved, perhaps, in how they were approaching these. And so we're actually going to do a lot more work now to prove out what it is we want to do. We've seen a lot of other entrepreneurs in our community struggle with this.
I started the idea for Zirtual around the same time that the movie The Social Network came out. And I remember watching it in Reno, Nevada and being like, that's awesome, I gotta get into that.
The startup experience is romanticized. And everyone wants to be Mark Zuckerberg, but not everyone realizes that when you're actually in the heat of things, you're probably gonna be on the floor crying at least one night there.
Simple definition of the business is an on-demand mover when you need one. We've talked to several VCs, ultimately being told, come see us in 6 months.
We believe in it so much that we're putting everything out there and we're going for it.
It's definitely a big challenge, especially when you're bootstrapped, especially when we're really living off of the revenue that we're making.
It was hard. It was hard and it was expensive. And getting into hotels in particular, in San Francisco, where the market is so compressed, you had to pay to play. I mean, it was the one thing of convincing them that this idea could work. It was another thing of, well, if you want in, show me the money.
So they're being smart, and they're saying, we already need to know you, or there needs to be something, maybe you need to be on our trend, but we're not just gonna invest in your thesis, like prove it somewhere.
I have startups come to me, like one guy had spent years developing this amazing technology and like $7 million doing this. He comes to me and I'm like, what's your business model? You've built this great technology, but technology isn't a business.
I tried to fund my startup. I did pitch after pitch after pitch, but it didn't work out. People were interested here and there, and they even asked me to shift my business towards a different route, but I wasn't willing to do that.
So I started the startup in 2013 and went through a couple of rounds of funding. And then in April of last year, we decided to close down. We pivoted twice, which basically means we tried new ideas, trying to figure out what our product was. And then we got to the point where we said, we've burned through a lot of the money and we need to close up shop. And that was probably the hardest decision of my life.
The emotional roller coaster of the last weekend of Zirtual's life was doing everything we could to run numbers, run calculations, see if there was any way we could save it. But unfortunately, a few of our investors kind of balked, and because of that, they couldn't get consensus and make it happen.
In Silicon Valley, the anxiety is my company going to go public for enough money that I can retire? Am I going to be looking at being a billionaire soon? And if not, am I a failure? The scale and the stakes of what's going on here in Silicon Valley are so much bigger than almost anywhere else you look.
You can't exactly tell your investors or advisors everything you're afraid of because you want to demonstrate confidence. You want to show people up and below that you have everything under control.
Closing the startup, you just pour your soul into it. It's kind of like, it felt like a breakup. When you wake up in the morning and you remember again that you're broken up.
You're on a plane and it's falling, and you're trying to build the engines as the plane is falling. Yet you're asking people to help you get out of free fall, right? And at some point, people are like, dude, it's just too far gone. Get off the fucking plane and just go back to this regular job.
When my friends were graduating, when it would have been my senior year, because I took a year and a half off to work on Zoku, I fell into a little bit of a depression.
Right now, I'm unemployed. I'll be honest, I get help from my mom. I think a lot of people get help from their parents.
Growing up, my family had kind of bouts with unemployment, and I really cared about giving people meaningful work. It was the thing that meant the most to me and my co-founders. But at the end of the day, if something happens with the company, those employees, no matter how wonderful they are, they get hurt. They lose their source of income. That was what was so hard, and totally understand in the media, like, I got freaking flamed for it, and I get it. I totally get it. But me and my co-founders, it was our everything. It was our baby.